Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Common Sense View. The role of government is to protect the interests of its people. The social contract we sign, either by voting or by any way we select those who lead us, is our willful submission of our own will, our conscious submission of our will to be governed by the person we entrusted this will to. In return, this person offers us security, cohesion, and a level playground. So this is what we call government. But when this government we subjected our will to create order and a level playing environment for us, turns us into a cow to be milked, a population to be exploited, and the subject to be subjugated. We also have the right to revolt, either violently or non-violently, and take back our power. Most civilized and sensible people choose a way of non-violence by voting those people out or by pressurizing them to quit. But at a certain point, the government becomes too strong that even our pressurizing them doesn't make any move, doesn't shake them, because they have learned how to manipulate the system. They have learned how to gain the system. Recently, or for the past few days, America have been submerged into a fight to keep the government functional, to avoid government shutdown. I cannot say that this is my area of expertise, but I know the law of human nature. I know the principles of power. Mike Johnson, before he took the mantle of leadership as a speaker, he promised that it was not going to be government as usual. That the idea of having to stay till Christmas Day to resolve the final bit to keep the system running is over. That now it will be done on time so that his Christmas will not be tampered with. That is the first failure in this bill. The second one was the timeline. The timeline makes it even more nefarious. That they produce 1,500 pages and the members were to read them, scrutinize them, digest them, and vote based on them in the next 24 hours. Who does that? The only person who can do such is somebody who has something to hide, or somebody who was played, in which case I believe Mike Johnson fell. I think he was played by the master deceivers, the Democrats, the people who will take any bill, give it a name that it is so compelling that if you reject it, you sound inhuman. Like Inflation Reduction Act that skyrocketed inflation. Like gender affirming care that does something that is not subject of this discussion. Things like that. They have a special way of naming things, a special way of gaslighting people, a special way of deceiving people with the help of their friends in the media, who even before the first bullet is shot have taken sides, pick the highest megaphone, and proclaim from the altar of holier than thou, ignoring the fact that they have been caught in the highest scandal of the century, The scandal that brought somebody who could barely recognize his wife, from his sister, to rule, to lead for 4 years. And those people are the people you want to believe? The current state of the bill is that Elon Musk, who joined Donald Trump during the campaigning period, who campaigned actually to be given the duty to do what? Reduce costs for the government and for the people. Sorry for that. Elon Musk campaigned to help Trump to monitor the efficiency of the government. That is what the Dodge was there to do. He asked and Trump obliged. The first duty he's carrying out was laying bare the poison pills that were buried in these 15,000 or 1,500 pages of, they call it garbage. I don't know what to call it. And it's not just that he laid bare, he amplified the voice of the people, which was one of the things he said he will do. He said, I will make it transparent so that you are carried along in the decision making. He got this bill, however he read it, I have no idea. But then he started dishing out some things that might be perfect, but are not necessary in this short time. And the people saw it, knowing that he's working with them. They laid their voice and he amplified it for them. What happened? Immediate change was rendered. They bowed, they caved in because they know that they are doing something wrong. They know that they are milking the people. They know that they are drying the people to death. So they caved in. What did the Democrats do? What did the Democrats do? They went to what they do best. Maybe their focus group told them that if they find a way to separate Trump and Elon, they'll be successful the next 4 years. How do they think they will do that? They think that by getting under Trump's skin, he will lose it and there'll be a problem between him and Elon. How do they do it? Okay, touch his ego. Call him Vice President Trump and President Elon. You cannot but say how stupid the mindset is, but they believed it. What happened was like a magic. Every single leftist media started echoing the same message, like they were being remote controlled. Everyone was saying, go President Elon, Vice President Trump. And the point is that because all of them have been in this echo chamber, they don't even hear how stupid they sound. They believe that they're making sense. When you see adults, reasonable adults, behaving like idiots, you ask yourself, why are these idiots the best among us to lead us? Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it because when good people come out, they are hunted down just as Trump was. Unfortunately, what is happening is happening. The first thing Elon did was to get a picture of the 1,500 pages and got the one he reduced to 100 pages. If it could be reduced to 100 pages, why was it made up to 1,500 pages in the first place? One of the things that caught my attention there, apart from every other thing that might be of interest, was that the Congress people were opting out of the Obamacare. How nice. You put a poison in the water intentionally and you are opting out of it. If it was so good that you want to protect it by all means, why are you opting out? What do I say? That is what, when the interests of those who are leading is no more to protect and create an even playing ground for the people. They are now an institution of themselves. They institutionalize themselves into the main point of the society, protecting each other, guiding each other, creating a revolving door of nepotism, making sure that none of them leave the corridors of power, while the people they are supposed to serve are suffering to even buy a day meal. Now let us listen to what few of them what they had to say. And you don't listen carefully. None of them mentioned the interest Elon was trying to expose. None. None of them mentioned anything about the bill. All they said, every single one of them was President Elon. Because in their mind, they believe that if they say that, they have made a very big impact. Because they are not there for the people, they are there for themselves. Every single one of them, except Chip Roy. First, I give you what Chip Roy, the only Republican I just decided to take because he is not supporting the new 100 pages. He's not supporting the 1500 pages either. So he's still no on the vote the time I was making this video. Let's listen a little bit of what Chip Roy had to say.
That's what's going to happen right here by Republicans, increasing the debt $5 trillion. And what are you doing in the same bill? $110 billion unpaid for. Because you never have any ounce of self-respect to go out and campaign saying you're going to balance the budget, and then you come in here and pass $110 billion unpaid for. On top of the $200 billion you did for WEP, you guys won't agree with that, but the fact of the matter is $330 billion. Congratulations, you've added to the debt since you were given the majority again on November 5th. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. Yes, I think this bill is better than it was yesterday on certain respects, but to take this bill yesterday and congratulate yourself because it's shorter in pages but increases the debt by $5 trillion is asinine. And
so what he said, even though the pages are reduced, the contents are almost the same. The contents are almost the same. There's no significant change in the bill. Yes, it was reduced from 1,500 pages to just 100 pages. Yet, there wasn't any significant change that will impact the life of the people. On the contrary, it still raised the debt with $5 trillion. That is not a small amount of money. When a country is running on only borrowed money and yet they're spending like idiots, you ask yourself again, are these the best among the people? Why are they the ones who are in charge? Now, he was talking with little common sense, and he was talking based on what will be the future of the people. Compare it with the Democrats. I will give you 3 Democrats just to bring narrative together. Compare what Chip Roy said with every single one of these Democrats.
Centers and the ability to deliver health care that is affordable and accessible. And it will rise the costs of everyday items, whether that's childcare to the groceries and the price you pay at the supermarket. And what for? Because Elon Musk, an unelected man, said, we're not doing this deal. And Donald Trump followed along. So here we are, once again, in chaos. And House Democrats are going to stand together and make sure that American families' voices are heard here. Because we shouldn't even be in this situation of being on the verge of another shutdown. This is the 6th time in 2 years that the...
You hear that? When everything they're talking about from the perspective of ideology that don't have any foundation in reality, they're talking about the cost of groceries that has risen almost between 25% to 50% in some cases since they're in charge. Suddenly they become relevant. The same person talking having the bill they want to pass, opting out of Obamacare, which they want the people to stick with, but they want to opt out themselves. One rule for they, another for me. And yet, instead of seeing the positive aspect of what Elon was trying to do, to cut unnecessary expenses so that they'll be able to handle the debt that is killing everyone to the next 10, 20 generations. Who knows? All their interest is to blame somebody who was doing what he was nominated to do. It's like you are being blamed for doing the work you're asked to do. The same way, probably they will also blame, they will also call Tom Holmes President Trump or President when he start deporting the illegals. That is the first person. See how selfish they are. They don't care about you. This particular woman, I don't know what
on a
with her.
bill. They signed it. And you know what? They got scared because President Musk told them, President Musk said, don't do it. Don't do it. Shut the government down. Imagine. What does he know about what people go through is when the government shuts down? Are his employees furloughed? Hell no. Is he furloughed? No. And when you shut the government down, people don't get paid. And maybe if none of us got paid if the government shut down, some people on the other side of the aisle would feel differently about where we're going in this effort. We had an agreement. But you know, this is not different from what we've experienced over the last year and a half or so. Think about it. Biden, McCarthy, deal, come together. Next day, walk away. Johnson, Schumer, deal. Next day, walk away. And now this deal, walk away from it. Who do we trust in this body? And above all, can the American people trust us? Trust us with their lives. When we had a moment, when we came to agreement as Democrats and Republicans, and then we were able to say, let's move forward this country. You know, one of my colleagues, I think it was Congressman Neal, who said this.
So the only thing that is positive with this woman is, despite her age, she's still energetic. Otherwise, she's just a waste of space in the Congress. There's no new idea left in her. Somebody like this is supposed to be a great grandma enjoying retirement, but they cannot live because living will be a total loss to them. They have a lot to lose. The insider trade, most of them are guilty of, even though they don't say that. What is he talking about? President Elon. Maybe she thinks that people are stupid. They don't know who they voted, and they don't know why they voted him. Now, you can say whatever you want, but the people know that when they were voting Trump, they were voting him because they want him to use Elon to cut 80% of the government and still make it effective as he was able to achieve with X. Imagine firing 75% of your workforce and still your company is much better than it was when you bought it. If any government can be run that way, then it will be a perfect one. But unfortunately, the Democrats can't do that. They can't, because all they do is dish out people's money, taxpayers' money. They themselves live on taxpayers' money. They share it like candy. When they have $30 trillion in debt, that means the country is broke. The country is living on borrowed money, and they make a lot of money like the whole world belongs to them. They are totally broke. If nobody buys their debt, they're over. Maybe they have the assets. What if nobody wants to liquidate it for you? So that is on the one. This is the third person. Now, this is a little bit strange. Whoopi Goldberg was suggesting that Elon and Vance should kill Trump. And this is, maybe it wasn't explicit, but you judge it yourself. You judge what Whoopi said yourself. That she believed that Elon Musk believed that he's president. So what they should do is to find a way to give a nudge on Trump's back so that he can fall down from the elevator. Who says a thing like that? And these are the tolerant left, the people who have the moral high ground. You watch it yourself.
Who is in charge? Because I've been saying it for a while.
Yes, you have.
I've been saying that I think Elon Musk believes he's president. I do.
Well, you've been calling him vice president.
I've called him vice president. I called him president because I don't know what JD is doing. I hardly ever. I don't remember the last time we even talked about JD.
You're right. He's planning the presidency when they get rid of Trump.
So you think it's Musk Vance?
Possible.
Hey, you know who? Stay away from the stairways. Because, people put the leg out to trip you going down the stairs. Watch out.
Well, it was actually Joy that suggested that they want to get rid of Trump, and Whoopi was saying get away from the stairways. Whatever that is in these people's head, only God knows. So, by the way, if you're getting anything of value from this post, please pause and subscribe. Also comment. Let me know your view about what is going on. Whether these people who are drunk with power, who want to be kings, actually doing the will of the people, or they're doing their own will. So on that, I want to give you the only voice of reason, an outsider. He's not a politician, just somebody like you and I, who gave a perfect explanation of all of this process, starting from extending the debt ceiling, funding the government, and all the rudimentary part that you might not know. It's just about 6 to 7 minutes. Just take a pause. Listen to it. Also, make your own judgment. Don't let people influence what you think or how you think. Do your own research and come to your own conclusion. Listen to this young man. I think he has a perfect explanation of what is going on and why what Elon is doing is actually the work of God, if government still allow God to exist in their ruling.
Congress failed to pass a budget bill, and it looks like we might be heading for a government shutdown. And in large part, this is due to the influence of Elon Musk. Now, depending on how you feel about Elon, you might view this as a positive or a negative thing. And in this video, I'm going to give you comprehensive context on what exactly is going on. And I'm also going to offer you my perspective on the influence of Elon, billionaires more generally, and the legislative process. First, here are the facts. Every year, Congress has from about February until October 1st to pass a bill for the following year. So this year in 2024, they were forming the budget for 2025. However, if they miss that October 1st deadline, then they form what's called a CR bill, or continuing resolution bill. That bill is meant to be a temporary measure that maintains the prior year's levels of funding in order to prevent a government shutdown. And they need to pass that bill before December 20th, when all the Congress people go home for Christmas, in order to ensure that the government doesn't shut down. Now, the concept of a government shutdown sounds bad, but it's pretty common. There have been 21 government shutdowns in the last 50 years. And even during a government shutdown, essential services are still maintained, like the operation of our military or Social Security. So in this case, the CR bill typically would have just mimicked 2024 levels of funding for 2025. However, there's several things that make this year unique. First is its length. It's 1,547 pages long, and only 8 of them are actually CR bill. The rest of it is about supplemental funding and legislation. The second thing is that rather than just maintaining 2024 levels of funding, there's actually $100 billion extra allocated to this CR bill. Most of that $100 billion is for disaster relief, and that $100 billion constitutes a 6% increase over 2024's budget. Now, you might not have any issues with that, but what's raising hackles is the fact that most Congress people had less than 24 hours to read the entire 1,500-page bill. Most Congress people were given the bill on December 17th and expected to vote on it less than 24 hours later on December 18th. This is because both Democratic and Republican leadership in the House formed the bill but that process wasn't transparent to the rest of the Congress people. On top of all that, there were specific provisions in the bill that many people objected to. Like, for example, the fact that it gave a pay increase to members of Congress. Now, it's worth noting that the pay increase is relatively modest, around 3%, and it's a cost of living increase. That said, many people objected to the fact that Congress people would be giving themselves a pay increase at all, given the state of the country and the fact that many people are struggling to get their bills paid. There's also the fact that the bill would allow Congress people to be exempt from Obamacare, even though the average American is not. Or the fact that the bill allocates funding for the Global Engagement Center, which many people have critiqued as a propaganda instrument and censorship instrument that has been used against the American people and now is getting even more funding. Now, I think it's fair to say that under normal circumstances, the vast majority of Americans would not have any idea what a CR bill is, or the fact that it's being passed, or the fact that it's 1,500 pages and Congress people are given less than 24 hours to read it. But what's unprecedented about this is that Elon Musk heard about it and started posting a lot about the whole situation on X. Because Elon has such a huge following, that caused many people to get into an uproar. And it caused many people to start pressuring their Congress people and calling their Congress people to have the CR bill not passed. And for the record, I called Representative Mike Johnson, who is the leader of the Republicans in the House, to express my personal disapproval for the manner in which the CR bill is being passed. And if you feel the same, I recommend that you take action by calling his office too. What Elon and many people were objecting to is the manner in which the CR bill was being passed, the contents of the CR bill, and the timeline for the CR bill being passed as well. And the CR bill did have bipartisan support from leadership of the Democrats and the Republican Party. Now, that leadership has argued that this is a bipartisan bill, and the $100 billion extra is needed for disaster relief that the American people have wanted for months. But I would argue, if that's the case, pass disaster relief as a separate bill, rather than making it part of a 1,500-page behemoth that none of you are even actually reading. And regardless, this is just a fundamentally broken process. We have politicians using money that is not theirs to give themselves pay raises and paying for things that they haven't even read using our money on things that we can't afford. Now, some people have objected to Elon Musk's influence, particularly Democrats, and to that I'd respond with three things. One, on the partisan angle, there's actually a 2-to-1 ratio of Democratic donors to Republican donors who are billionaires. In fact, in the 2024 election, the Kamala campaign had $1 billion that they spent, whereas the Trump campaign had $400 million. But partisanship aside, Elon is actually quite unique in that we can actually see the influence that he's having in large part. Because in this particular case, his influence was simply using his voice and amplifying it to his large audience. And in reality, it was not just Elon saying that he opposes this, it was the people agreeing that they also oppose the CR process as well. Now, I think it's reasonable to be skeptical of anyone's influence, billionaire or not. And Elon certainly has a lot of influence, and some of it we can't see and is not transparent. But in this particular case, we can see exactly what he was standing for. And his individual voice only helped amplify the voices of millions of people who disagreed with this entire dysfunctional process. Now, on the flip side, do we get to see any of the influence of George Soros or Bill Gates or many of these Democratic mega donors or Republican mega donors for that matter on the democratic process? But all of that aside, I think this is actually a tremendously positive development for all of America. So many of us have become disillusioned with politics because we feel like politicians don't have our best interests in mind, and we feel like no matter who's in office, nothing seems to change. But what's changed this time is that we have a degree of transparency and a public square in X where we can actually speak up and we can actually be listened to if enough of us actually exercise our power as a people. I mean, look